Talk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm, supertalktv.com as well. And TJ Rives joins us right now on the Farm Bureau phone line. Check out favorites.com and go with the home team, Mississippi Farm Bureau. If you're watching on supertalktv.com, you see TJ from his home office. Busy weekend coming up for him. National radio call on, Oklahoma and Texas Tech?
Texas Tech, that is correct. And then a game that might have a little bit of interest, Tampa Bay Buccaneers against Jameis Winston and going against his old team in the Superdome. There might be a couple of people that watch that. Good to be with you. And for the audience that cannot see us, I am not in a Halloween costume. Just to let everybody know, I am not dressed for Halloween. No mask. I'm not going trick-or-treating. I just thought I would update you.
Yeah, it may be hard to pull that off this weekend with all that you've got going. Right. So let's talk about this matchup in New Orleans. 2 times last year, right? Saints got one, and the Bucs got one. I don't know if you knew this or not, but the Bucs won a world championship last year.
That's correct. Buccaneers lost both regular season meetings, and the Saints were feeling great about themselves, and the Saints had home field advantage for the playoff game. But as we like to say in Tampa Bay, we won the one that mattered in the Superdome and retired Drew Brees in the process. His final game is a loss forever to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I digress. Please continue on with your question, sir.
So let's just talk about the Superdome for a second. It's one of the great home field environments in all of professional sports. TJ, you've been all over the NFL. I assume you've been to every stadium in the league. Where does the Superdome rank in terms of difficulty for an opponent?
It's probably in the top 2. And I always joke that it's a 4 Advil game, 2 before the game and 2 after the game when your ears are still ringing 3 hours later from how loud it is. And Tom Brady has brought this up this week, that it was really bizarre, eerie, and an advantage. Now, they lost the game in the Superdome in the first game of the regular season with absolutely no one there, which is crazy, eerie. The playoff game had about 8,000 or 9,000 people there, which, again, is about 1/10 of what you would normally have. So he knows, he's played in there. The offensive line's been going over this. They're not going to be able to hear anything. You can't hear the guy next to you when the crowd is roaring. It will be an advantage for the Saints. They'll be at full throttle because they couldn't be last year for these games. So let's see how big of a factor it is. But yes, it's right up there. The old Metrodome in Minnesota that they've now torn down would be right there. Seattle as an outdoor venue, believe it or not, because they have some acoustic roofing over the top. That is crazy. And the Saints just played in Seattle and won on Monday night in the bad weather. That's probably the loudest outdoor one. But yeah, this one will be something else.
So you put Seattle ahead of both Kansas City and Green Bay?
Yes, on both. It is that deafening loud in Seattle. And Kansas City can be loud. I've been there a couple times. I've been there in Green Bay. Yes. And you've got other domes. Now you've got Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The other was the Georgia Dome where we played. And I'm trying to think in terms of indoor, who's really bonkers. The Saints are right there. It's going to be very difficult to hear.
So you're a college football guy also. When you compare a college football atmosphere to an NFL atmosphere, there are obviously differences. Are there environments, though, that feel more like a college game than others?
And New Orleans would probably be one of those. Okay. It's a good point. And when you go to Buffalo, for example, that's kind of like a college field driving in. The stadium, what was the former Rich Stadium, and now they've renamed it like 3 times. It's in a neighborhood. You're driving like on side streets with houses, and hey, there's the stadium. And that's not unlike Green Bay, too, where you're driving around downtown Green Bay, which you can get through in about 6 minutes. But you're driving around, and suddenly you make a right turn in a neighborhood, and there it is. There's Lambeau Field. But you're right. I mean, the SEC in particular, we tell people this all the time, wherever I go all over the country. When you're at Tiger Stadium in LSU, when you're at Bryant-Denny, when you're at the Swamp, when you're at Auburn, go down the list. When you're at Athens, that's as bonkers as anything in the NFL trying to make noise. So yes, we're accustomed to that when you talk SEC.
In terms of the matchup, what stands out for you in this particular game? Is it New Orleans defense against what Tampa Bay can do offensively?
That's part of it, and they have a good defense. They won that game Monday night with their defense, with their front seven and their pass rush. The Buccaneers shutting down Alvin Kamara will be a big part of this. They've been very good against the run. That's been the Saints' key on offense. It's not been Jameis Winston opening it up and throwing it 30 times, 40 times a game. It's get the ball to Kamara, get it in his hands 20, 25 times, running it and throwing it to him. So that's huge, stopping Kamara. And the Buccaneers can't make mistakes. When they have been mistake-free, without turnovers, without penalties, they've been deadly. And they've now won, by the way, going back to the end of last year in the 8 straight wins, including the playoffs, they have now won 14 of 15 games with the same formula, which is do not beat yourselves, turnovers and penalties, and have Tom Brady do a lot of the rest throwing the football. And so far, that has worked, Richard.
There comes a point where football ends for everyone. It just seems like it's going to be later for Tom Brady than anybody else. 4 touchdown passes again last week. I mean, Eli and Peyton were joking with him on Monday night, which, by the way, that part of the Manning cast was fantastic.
Phenomenal TV. Can we give them an Emmy Award, you and me? We don't vote, but that segment alone, that 30 minutes, because you got to understand, Richard, in our market, he doesn't do a lot of that. He does like one press conference a week for 5 minutes. He does nothing individually with the local media, TV or radio. So everybody from the media to the fans is glued to that the other night because he gave you 5 times what you normally get on a given week. It was great TV with the Mannings. Yes.
And I don't know if soften is the right word, but he's really, really good when he wants to be.
He's loosened up because he's no longer at the Kremlin where you're not allowed to say anything in New England. And I thought, I mean, Peyton got off 2 or 3 tremendous barbs on him, and he laughed and was kind of taken aback, and then he came right back at him. But, I mean, he said, hey, you've taken Bruce Arians, Clyde Christensen, Tom Moore. They were all longtime Indianapolis assistants. Tom Moore was the offensive coordinator. He said, you've taken all my coaches. This is like a single white female thing, making reference to the 90s movie where Jennifer, I think it's Jennifer Jason Leigh, right? Changes all of her clothes and cuts her hair and wants to be her roommate. I'm like, this is phenomenal that we're getting off the barbs. It was great TV. So yeah, Brady has loosened up. There's no doubt. And I don't know how much longer he can play, but I can tell you this, they're not sacking him. They're not knocking him down. If the elbow and the shoulder can hold up, he's playing next year. He is adamant that he's playing next year if he's healthy. It's wild, Richard. It's crazy.
And TJ, you look at the end of careers, right? And you can tell when it's time. I mean, you watched Eli Manning at the end. It was time. Peyton was kind of held together with duct tape and baling wire.
Drew Brees at the end last year could barely get the ball down the field, to your point.
Yeah, I mean, there was no pushing it 30 yards on a deep out for Drew Brees. None of that seems to be going away. I don't think Tom Brady's ever been accused of having the biggest arm in the NFL, but it's still plenty good.
Yeah, it's remarkable. And I'm there. I'm privileged to be there at field level every week. And I keep saying to everybody, and I say it right here on Super Talk Mississippi, he still got it on putting zip on the football and being able to make most of the throws down the field. Does he have moments where he misses somebody? Yes. Does he have moments where he throws an ill-advised pass? That has happened. But by and large, the ball is on the money, and it's remarkable. He's 44 years old, doing this 22 years into his career. It's crazy.
Busy with TJ Rives, sideline reporter for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the Farm Bureau phone line here on Sports Talk Mississippi. A couple of more minutes. And TJ, I can't help but – so you said, he got out of the Kremlin in New England. I can't help but wonder if it's more fun. I don't think the way he prepares has changed. The way he studies has changed. But it's almost like there's a new lease on life, and he's having a lot of fun with it.
Absolutely. I think he realizes now that this is the twilight, the end here, this year, next year, whatever it is, and he's having a blast. And he's playing with house money. I mean, he is the all-time greatest with all the Super Bowls, but yes, he is very loose. He's thrilled to have Rob Gronkowski here with him. He gets along tremendously well with a lot of his other teammates. There's a lot to like about weather and beaches and golf courses and amusement parks and all kinds of things in Florida, why people want a vacation here. And he even joked with Peyton and Eli, I'm soft now. I'm never going back to the cold weather and the snow. They sold their place in Boston and in New York because he said, I'm never going back there to live, particularly for the winter time. Once they come to Florida, they find that out. So yes, I think it's very accurate to say that he has loosened up here. He's enjoying it. And I think that will be part of a third season in Tampa Bay? Does it go beyond 2022? I don't know. How do they do? Is he hurt? We don't know those variables, but I think he fully intends, no matter what, even if they win another one, Richard, I think he fully intends to play again next year. Let's see what happens.
1 minute left. Give me one reason Tampa Bay wins and one reason New Orleans wins.
But Buccaneers take care of the ball and keep the crowd stuff to a minimum. Don't let it affect them. If New Orleans wins, it's because they're taking it away and Kamara has a big day to help soften it up. That's what this game comes down to, and it's going to be a blast. And again, I will have some earplugs, but I will hopefully be able to hear and report back to you at a later date about how it is in the Superdome Sunday.
TJ, you're the best. Thanks for your time, man.
Always love being